I know you are proud of that young lady. And could you speak about your, I think, Glenn, that this is awesome, that she's taken it up. I know you're familiar. I was really happy to hear something like this here. Number of young folks just getting involved. Not surprised, because the energies comes from the young generation, that they have taken upon themselves to do the gardens, to bring things to you additional. And in her case, she and some friends are leaving every weekend to take food to Florida. Could I have you say something like that's your daughter?
I got it. It's on. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thanks, Pops. I'm really proud of my daughter and my grandson. My grandson
and your grandson
goes
too?
As well. But I have to tell you, it's a team. And they formed a little group called Columbus Acts. But they've been going down and helping the people in need. And I'm just really proud of my daughter and all of them. And Mr. Shepard, I just want to thank you. Going down there and trying to help is one thing, but they got to have another resource to help them meet the needs on the other end. I can tell you that the food that your organization has supplied to the people in need down in Georgia and Florida has just been incredible, and the amount of people they've been able to feed that's in need. You really don't understand it until you're in the middle of it, in the midst of it. You really don't. You know, it's easy to look from the outside in, but when you're there, it's a whole different story. So if anything, I just want to say thank you for all you do for our community, not just our community, but the extension and recognizing the need of others and working together in collaborative efforts to help out. And there's a lot of willing people, but they need help from each other, and you guys have been good at fitting that piece of the puzzle. So I thank you. Appreciate that.
And talk about the Thanksgiving now. We have to talk about that, what you're doing, Thanksgiving with turkeys and all.
To help those less fortunate, we're going to cook 1,500 hot Thanksgiving meals with the help of some volunteers. We call it the Big Gobble. So we're looking for folks that will come in as early as 5 o'clock that morning, and we're going to make hot meals, get them out in the community. They'll be out to everyone by 12 noon or 1, so our volunteers can go home and enjoy Thanksgiving Day with their families. So just another outreach service.
Well, my wife and I will be volunteering, and make sure you give us where we're supposed to be going on that particular day.
We'll do that.
Now, what can the community do to help you? I notice a number of volunteers. There's one gentleman, a senior citizen, that's been coming every day for years. I think his name is Mr.
Mr. Burr.
Mr. Burr, yes. Awesome.
And
he was tirelessly working yesterday. What can we do? What can the community do to help you feed the hungry? What can we do?
Volunteerism is a big part of our operation. Volunteers donate about 24,000 hours to us every year. That's equivalent of 12 more employees. So, individuals, corporate groups, civic groups want to come out and, have a team building exercise or a lunch and learn and see the food bank and hear about it, can do that. Food donations, food drives are very big to us. At this time of year, we're going to distribute about 2 million pounds of food in the months of November and December. So a replenishment of the inventory is great to us. So food drives can be done by individuals, churches, corporate groups. So that's very big as well.
And of course, nothing happens in life, no matter where your heart is at. You can't do anything about those dead presidents. I mean, it happens. I mean, that's a core part of life. You can't do anything. So I'm adding that so you don't have to say it.
Well, thank you. Yes. Financial donations are every dollar donated provides 6 meals in our kids' feeding program. So
I hear that you're in need of another vehicle. You're in need of another truck.
Sure. We always look for and solicit capital donations. Our refrigerated trucks are expensive.
Parts, free labor, anything,
right.
anything that you can do to help out.
Absolutely.
And just thank you and Carlene and everyone there, all the volunteers, Shalea Davis, for what she does, because it is a serious hunger, is a serious problem. And just thank you so much. We'll be there. I think it's next. When you need
next
my truck.
Be a weekend after or a week from Thursday.
Okay, so we'll be there.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Shepard, I just want to say thank you for all you do. on your organization. I'm a member of Revelations Missionary Baptist Church, so I know firsthand what you do.
Thank you.
And the Kids Backpack Program is wonderful. And it's so nice that we're able to work with you and help people.
Thank you, Councilor.
And just
Appreciate
keep
it.
up the good work.
Thank you.
And if anybody has any questions about trying to contact them, Mr. City Manager, we can make sure we get this information on our government access channel, Feeding the Valley program.
Okay.
No more questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Ms. Teresa Alamine.
Yes, and I could use some help from Brittany or Lindsay to pass out. And it may be slightly more than 22, but there should be one for everybody. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Teresa Alamine, 3911 Steam Mill Road. It seems that it's that season where charity abounds, and charity is so important. The Southern Anti-Racism Network works for change. What I have learned over the years is that charity must be accompanied by a real political will for change. The United Nations has declared an end to poverty by the year 2030. The United States is a place that has a lot of poverty, surprisingly, and as we know, a lot of hunger. And the Southern Anti-Racism Network has been working for change for 20 years, and our focus is on ending racial disparities in 5 areas: the criminal justice system, economic opportunities, education, environment/housing, which means ending homelessness, and health care. Those are the 5 injury areas that we have been working on for 20 years. And we are celebrating our 20th anniversary beginning this month. Our first celebration was in Durham, North Carolina on November 9th. Mayor Steve Schewel is a member of the Southern Anti-Racism Network and has been a member since before he was on the school board. He went from the school board to city council, and now he's mayor. So he issued a proclamation that November 9th was Southern Anti-Racism Network Day in the city of Durham. Let all the citizens support that observance, and that was wonderful. The Mayor Pro Tem, who read the proclamation at our event on November 9th, is a young woman that I knew when she was an undergrad, and there she was, the Mayor Pro Tem. And so it was a great day in Durham, North Carolina on November 9th. And our program booklet, which you have a copy of, shows some of the important events that I thought we should acknowledge. 2 events at the bottom that happened here in Columbus, the March to Stop the Violence. So many of those these days, but that was in 2016. And then the On the Table event in 2017, which is very important because it's a part of the Building a Village project. And I just want to give a special thanks of support to Council Member John House and his beautiful wife, Marilyn, and Council Member Baker for his support, Council Member Woodson, and Council Member Huff. You will see your ads in our program book, and thank you so much. And the one thing that we're doing, our Columbus celebration, is going to take place on November 15th. I sent out a notice to all of you at the end of October. It is not a y'all come event, so people in the public beware, it's a private event. We invited all of the city council members as well as all of the school board members to come out and enjoy dinner with us at the Golden Corral. And that's going to take place Thursday, November 15th. And so I did send out another note to the mayor yesterday as a reminder. She's already said she can't be there, and she told me that. But Mimi Woodson is planning on being there, Councilmember Woodson, to accept the award that Mayor Tomlinson is receiving. And I'd just like to read. This is the proof of the award. The award itself is about 10 inches high. It is absolutely beautiful. And at some point, I hope that we will have an opportunity to take a picture with Mayor Tomlinson holding her award. I guess that's a 5-minute acknowledgement. But the award says, Southern Anti-Racism Network presents Building a Village Visionary Award to Teresa Pike Tomlinson, November 15, 2018, which is when the award will be presented on this coming Thursday. And the words at the bottom are the mayor's words. And, oh, there she is. And so the mayor has given me so much encouragement in spite of all the ups and downs and the various acrimonious events. What the mayor said to me in a special note, the Building a Village initiative represents promise for our children, their parents, and the educational challenges inherent in our society. I applaud your mobilizing to address these challenges and wish you much success. Imagine what success looks like. If you can dream it, it can certainly be achieved. Mayor Teresa Pike Tomlinson, Columbus, Georgia. And she wrote that note on October 26, 2012. And so we wanted her to know that that has given us inspiration over these very difficult 6 years, because Columbus is a tough town. And I've organized in many places around the country, but it has been a tough town. But we're not giving up. The 5-year plan I came here to work on, because quite frankly, I didn't come to stay. The 5-year plan has become a 10-year plan. So I'm here for sure till the end of 2020. That's the commitment. That's the commitment. I'm here till the end of 2020. And by the way, Madam Mayor, I saw you on AM Joy on Saturday. You were looking great. I think she's your best friend right about now. And so I just want everyone to know, and I really need to hear from you. I've heard regrets from Councilmember Baker that he can't make it. I haven't heard from most of you as to whether or not you can make it out. And I do want to extend a special invitation to Deputy City Manager Lisa Goodwin, because she works with youth and children, and there will be plenty of children and parents at Golden Corral. And you can't beat this deal, folks. We like to break bread together. And so there is no charge for coming. And I worked out a great deal with John, who is the general manager at the Golden Corral. And so we can afford to feed 48 people, thanks to the generous donations, which in large part, friends, comes from North Carolina. And so North Carolina has been supporting our expansion project and supporting the work we do here in Columbus for the most part all these years. And so it's never too late to give your support. Yes, thank you, Councilmember Barnes. There is an envelope there that you can give your support, and I'm sure everyone else received that same envelope, so thank you very much. And I'm just so encouraged by the Nazareth Baptist Church Social Justice Ministry. We have a partner in the community now. So the Southern Anti-Racism Network and the Nazareth Baptist Church are partners in the Building a Village project, and you can certainly read about it at our website. and you can certainly read a little bit more about it in the program booklet that we have. Our culminating event for the 20th anniversary will be June 28th through 30th in Atlanta at the Atlanta Crown Plaza Airport Hotel. It will be a national conference where we will have an education summit, and Mayor, we're going to have a women's liberation summit on that Friday. I know how much you are enjoying this year, the women here, aren't we all? And so, so we'll have a women's liberation summit on that Friday to talk about the disparities that women still face in the workplace and so forth. So I know my time is running out, but I hope you'll enjoy our program booklet. And Councilmember Baker, I am so glad that you did give me that picture. Don't you look wonderful? You look absolutely wonderful. You haven't looked at it yet. Well, everybody, please enjoy the program booklet. We'll have another one in June, so there'll be many more opportunities for all of you to be in the program booklet. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilor Barnes, did you have?
Yeah, I grabbed the envelope because I will not be here. I'll be out of town again. You heard me mention about hunger issues. I'm really on top of this hunger for not only for children but for seniors. So, but I picked this up, so I'll be sure to make a donation.
Well, thank you, sir.
Because I will not be here. But I do want to make a comment too. Also,
yes, sir.
You have been in the fight for diversity and for women and for minorities a long time, and I appreciate it. I did my research, and I appreciate all the work that you are doing. Glad to hear that you're extending your stay and whatever. And I will make sure that I make a donation to you.
Well, thank you so much, Councilmember Barnes. And thank you, Madam Mayor.
We've got Councilor Huff.
Okay.
Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Good morning.
I always want to keep you updated where I am. I won't be able to make it. I'll be in a District 8 meeting in Georgetown on Thursday.
Okay.
But I'll follow up with you and do whatever I need to do to help out.
Well, thank you so much, because your district is a place where we need to really talk.
That's right.
And I really appreciate that you are so accessible to the community. And I will be in touch.
All right. Thank
because
you.
The village is everything south of Macon Road. So it's taking in all those schools on Benning Drive. It's taking in the Rothschilds Middle School, where lots of students get suspended every year. Okay. And so, yes, the village south of Macon Road, that's the geography that we're working on. Okay. It's a crime prevention effort as well in terms of building a village, so please know that.
Okay, thank you. I'll be in contact.
Thank you.
Okay, and we've got Councilor Garrett.
Ms. Eltman, I also want to thank you for what you do. We actually have the direct services benefit dinner that night too, and I'm on the board of that. It's Meals on Wheels, but I hope your event goes very well, and I know we're thinking about you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and I'm looking to when Councilmember Woodson is still going to be there to accept for you the award that we're giving out on Thursday for you.
Yes, that is the case. I do, but she had to step out. But whatever arrangements were made, I have heard no difference. So if it changes, I'll personally let you know. Because
she will bring it to you, and we will come to your office at some point to get a picture with you.
Well, thank you.
Before
we'll make
you
sure
are
that
not mayor anymore, we want to get a picture with you.
We'll get it done.
So a few of us will come and do that. I'll call for an appointment.
Wonderful. We'll get it done. Thank you so much,
Thank you so much.
All right. Next, we have Annette Adams, who has a neighbor complaint. Is Ms. Adams here?
Good morning, everybody.
Hello. How are you? If you just state your name and address, please. And we're going to put time on.
Rather not state my address.
Okay. You just state your name and how about the street you live on? We just need to make sure, we need to know whether it's in Columbus or not.
It is. I promise you it is.
Okay.
It's off Veterans Parkway, behind the Walmart Marketplace. off
Okay, we're good.
Manchester, Okay?
Thank you.
And my name is Annette Adams. Just recently, this past Friday, at 5:20 in the morning, shots were fired, 5 shots. It's the gang activity that's going on in that neighborhood, and they just don't seem to quit. And once they shoot the guns, they pick up the bullets. I've sat on my porch and watched this. I've watched sale of drugs. I've watched sale of guns, because they're in the cases and all. And then the guy that lives across the street from me, he's got a wooden fence put up, wooden picket fence, and he's got all kinds of stuff there. And down the street from where I live, there's Daphne's, and they have a lot of rats and rodents, so I call constantly for the I have health issues, so it takes me a minute.
Sure, that's fine. You just take your time.
I have to have them exterminate, put the bait in the sewers. And there's children in the area, and the children can't play in the yards with the other neighbor kids because of the gang activity. And this has gotten ridiculous, because before that, the guy that's in the gang and all and selling the drugs, he got shot, but he won't tell who did it. Either he shot himself or somebody shot him. And on the corner of Holly and Neal, there's another house, and that's where the gun activity went off on this past Friday. And people are talking about moving that own their own homes, and we're good neighbors. And we're good law-abiding citizens, and we shouldn't have to go through this.
Right.
And the police, when I come back Friday, I seen him, because I had her out in the yard and she was barking. And if things are like, if somebody's in your yard and I lived across the street from you, she would let me know that there's something going on outside if I'm in the house. You know, she does a lot for me, my service dog. And she was letting me know that someone was outside that was not supposed to be close to the property or on somebody else's property. And I went out to the door to see what was going on, and it was the police officer handcuffing a lady because she was trying to break in the neighbor's house. So I commend them very much for catching them. And I do have a house watch, but they say you have to renew it every so often. This is an ongoing thing with these certain landlords here, written to these people that are in the gang activity, and it's marked around in the neighborhood, and I don't know what else to do, because my neighbors said they've tried and nobody ever listens or nothing ever gets done. The reason why my neighbor, that house was getting broken into, was because he had to go to court this morning for that lady and all, trying to get in his house, so he could not attend with me. I don't know what else to do by getting a neighborhood watch. I've even offered to the police department, put a camera in my house. I won't touch it. I won't mess with it. You can see everything that's going on then.
Sure.
I mean, I'm on a fixed income. Like I said, I have health issues, and it's just not feasible in my budget to do anything like that.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt your, are you done?
Yes,
okay, okay. Well, have you been in touch with Seth Brown, who's our crime prevention director?
I don't know.
Okay. That's one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have him contact you. And we also have some folks with the police department. I heard you mention Neighborhood Watch, and there's some things you can do to sort of make that more effective. Yes. And so I think I'm going to get you with those folks. And I didn't know, Councilor Garrett, did you have, this is in your district, isn't it? Yeah, let me let Councilor Garrett have the floor.
Oh, I talked to him for 2 hours.
I bet you did. Yeah, he's a good counselor.
And it did wonders for a minute, but then they just went cockeyed crazy, excuse the expression, but they just got this. One day I was out there and I was sitting on my porch and the guy started shooting the gun. Then he laid on the ground and kicking like a toddler, going around in circles, kicking his feet in the middle of the street, talking about, oh, I've been shot, and he thought it was funny. I don't find nothing funny about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to basically echo what you said, Madam Mayor, and we've got a really good neighborhood watch on the other side of Manchester that's connected to this neighborhood in Bellwood, but we've got to I think, proactively talk to the neighbors on this side of Veterans over there behind Walmart, because they aren't part of that neighborhood watch, and we've got to get them organized, because I've gotten multiple calls now, and we've addressed single incidents, but the pattern of activity is continuing. But that's all I want to say.
All right, and I'm going to, ma'am, Carly's going to come out and take down your name and contact number so that we can get Seth Brown and some other folks with the city in touch with you to see what we can do to help, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I commend the police department for what they do. I really do, because not this past October, but a year ago from this October, I had a 16-year-old boy kick in my back door, and he was wanted for murder, come to find out. And that is just, wow, you know?
Yeah. Well, I completely understand. Hold on a minute. Councilor Barnes.
No, I'm just, Councilor Garrett, you're on the money. I have a situation similar, and we're organizing the neighbors. I know some of the neighbors may be afraid, but we went around to each home and told them, listen, you can either be afraid and everything continues, or you can get together as a group and stop it. And so Councilor Garrett is on it. What he's suggesting is definitely on the money, and you should not have to. You should not have to go through. And the week before last, I had another group of my constituents, Councilor Garrett had. So the way to really stop it is to become unified as a neighborhood watch, and let them know you're not going to tolerate that type of activity, because it should not be happening. But I want to congratulate you. As I'm saying to the lady of mine, you are a committee of one, and a committee of one is all it takes to turn things around. So I just wanted to commend you and tell you I give you all the credit in the world for coming here to council and putting your foot down to stop nonsense like that in the neighborhood.
We got to do something about them rodents, because them children is a bus stop on the corner there.
Yes, ma'am.
And them rodents, they travel, and that Daphne's down there on Neal, that deer processing plant is not helping the rodent factor, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Them things are like from head to behind, or this long. And we're not talking about tail now. And they're not scared of y'all. They'll sit there and smile at you.
I know a little bit about rats. I grew up in that. They were just, they took over. But I just want to commend you for being here, because that's huge, ma'am. What you're doing right now is really huge, not only for you, but for the other neighbors in the community as well. And Councilor Garrett is on it for sure.
Because we really do got to do something, because it's a quiet neighborhood, but when these gangs really come in, and it just went, wow, you know, it went really, because there's a lot of elder folks there in that neighborhood. As we get older, you know, we don't like a bunch of racket. We want quiet. We've had enough racket in our life.
I can identify with
earlier
that.
Life, yes. So I really thank y'all for all the help that y'all are willing to give. And
yes,
I really appreciate you. And the police department does so much, but they're so short-staffed. And God bless them all.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And Carly's sitting over there. As you are walking out, I know you've got a ride you've got to catch. Get your contact information to Carly, and we'll get some folks in touch with you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Y'all have a blessed day.
Okay, you too. All right, next we have Ms. Sarah Womack, who's representing the M2540 Christian Ministry. She wants to talk about Thanksgiving.
I'm a boy named Sarah.
Yeah, okay, all right.
She couldn't be here. She was sick. She is one of our volunteers. My name is Ed Griffin Hagan.
Okay, and if you would just give us a street an address, that's fine.
6228 Cape Cod Drive.
Thank you. Okay.
And I want to thank y'all for allowing me to be here this morning. I'm the pastor at my church, but this ministry is multi-church, probably 10 or 15 different churches represented, and my wife and I started 3 years ago. Next month will be 3 years. Actually, this month is 3 years. Going down into the predominantly unsheltered homeless folks in the western part of Columbus, from about where J.R. Allen comes into 2nd Avenue down to the Dillingham Street Bridge from Veterans Parkway to the river. And we started 3 years ago. Susan and I and probably 2 or 3 other people serving chili out of the trunk of our car. It's grown into, now we do about 150 meals 2 nights a week, and we're going into homeless camps, we're going into wherever they are, we are going to them. We're providing hygiene products, we're providing help with jobs, we're providing some Bible studies, we're providing encouragement and prayer and really time. My experience with this has been that it's meeting a physical need with a very much a spiritual component, and the biggest benefit, and this is what we hear from the homeless community, is the discretionary time that is just spent listening and talking with and hugging on and loving on these guys. We started another ministry in April. I went and talked to Judge Andy Dodgen, who's a buddy of mine, about working with creating a foster care prevention ministry. Lots of work in the foster care system after the fact, but we wanted to do something that would preserve families. So where he put us together with Department of Family and Child Services, and they are referring cases to us where there's not violence or drugs, where it is need-driven. If a kid doesn't have a bed, for example, and they're subject to, or they're at risk of being pulled out and put in the foster care system, we get the referral. And then, for instance, this last Saturday, we had 2 families, 6 children in one family, 3 children in the other, who in the next 2 or 3 weeks were going to be put in the foster care system because they were all sleeping on the floor. And we provided beds for all of those kids and the moms, single moms, on Saturday, which kept 9 children from ending up in foster care. And probably since April, I think it's been 41 kids. And Judge Dodgen just told me that about 25% of the cases, foster care cases in Muskogee County, were need-driven. And so if we can put a dent in that and stop 100 of those a year, then that'll really be a wonderful thing. Now, what we really came to talk about was the M2540, which stands for Matthew chapter 25, verse 40. It's whatever you did for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. We buy a lot of food from the food bank, so it was good to hear them talking about that as well. But what we do now is 125 to 150 meals twice a week. They're home-cooked meals, good food that we would serve our families. And every year at Thanksgiving time, we use Highland Community Church's facility. I say every year for the last 3 years. And we serve 500 to 600 meals, along with clothes, along with bags of groceries that we get at the food bank. We buy their food, we bag it all up, and we do that from 11 to 1 on the day before Thanksgiving. And like I said, it's 500 or 600, turkey, homemade dressing, all of these, the fixins and so forth. Spend a lot of time with them. We'll have somebody playing some music. We're shooting basketball with the kids. There's clothes, there's hygiene products. It's been a wonderful, wonderful ministry, and our mission really is to dramatically reduce the amount of unsheltered homeless folks in our community through the gospel, along with helping with jobs and with housing. And probably in the last 3 years, and y'all know, that's a tough task. It's a very tough task. And I would guess that in the last 3 years, we have gotten, or at least been privileged to play some role in about 30 folks probably who are employed full-time, not living in the woods anymore. The last thing, was that the 5-minute buzzer?
Yes.
Can I have about 3 more?
Yeah, I put on 5, and then you just go from there.
Gotcha, okay. The last ministry that we have, that is in the planning stages, is a biblically based addiction recovery center in that western kind of river area of Muskogee County. Look, we don't have a building yet. Looking for a building. We feel like that is something that is desperately needed here. We took a team of 10 people to Los Angeles last fall and went to the Dream Center in Los Angeles. I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard of the Dream Center in LA or not, but probably have the highest batting average on addiction recovery of any center on the planet. At any given time, they've got about 150 men and women running through their program, and it is biblically based, and it is amazingly successful, and we want to model that. Our foster care prevention ministry was modeled after one of their ministries in Los Angeles, and we want to model this addiction recovery the same way. I will be quiet if y'all have any questions for me.
Yeah, we've got Counselor Pops Barnes.
Reverend Griffin-Hagen, good to see you again. What's interesting is that you guys just started out meeting, cooking a meal, chili, and it has really morphed into something fantastic. But as always, what can the community do to help you? Because what you're providing is wraparound care for the individuals, helping them transition from their position. And so two things. Can you let our viewing audience know where you meet? Are you still meeting over there by Outcast or that place up there off of Veterans? You were meeting there for a while.
We put the food together at the Coldwell Banker office. I worked at the Coldwell Banker office for 15 years until, amazingly enough, the Lord called me into full-time ministry. So
that's still a meeting place. That's
it
still
is.
A meeting
we
place.
put the food together from 6 to 7, and then we just hit the streets.
And what days again?
Typically Mondays and Thursdays.
Alex keeps me posted on all that you're doing. He told me about the other ministries to put in prayer that you're able to really get started. The prevention of foster care is huge.
It is huge.
And it's going to take a lot of community partners. And if I can assist in that regards, please let me know.
Sure. Anybody else got any questions?
Oh, phone numbers, how to contact you.
706-681-2732. And we're always looking for volunteers, always. You can check it out on Facebook, M2540 Columbus.
Thank you, sir,
Thank
very
you.
much. We appreciate all you do.
Sure enough.
Okay, next we have Kara Vincent, who's representing the Stewart Community Home, and would like to speak to us about Homeless Awareness Month, which is interesting. I hope you stay around for a presentation we're going to be having on the city manager's agenda, so related to homeless efforts. Hello, if you would just state your name and your address, please.
I'm Kara Vincent, and the address for Stewart Community Home is 1125 15th Street in Columbus, Georgia. Good morning, Mayor Tomlinson and members of the City Council. I wanted to make sure that I come today and thank you all for your time and attention regarding the passing of Mrs. Stewart. The family appreciates the resolution from the City Council recognizing Mrs. Stewart for her service to Columbus homeless population. Since November is Homeless Awareness Month, I want to also take the opportunity to talk about homelessness as it pertains to those with mental and physical disabilities. According to recent statistical data, the homeless population, especially homeless persons with serious mental illness, has increased steadily since the 1970s. Homelessness among mentally ill is associated with fewer psychiatric hospital beds and fewer possibilities for managed care. According to the most extensive study ever done by the HUD organization, there were 564,708 homeless people on any given night in America. It's estimated that 260,000 of those are mentally ill, and 46% of that 260,000 are seriously mentally ill, which is about 145,000 people. In the most recent point-in-time count conducted by United Way and the Homeless Resource Network here in Columbus, there are just under 1,500 homeless citizens. If those same mental illness statistics are true for Columbus as they are on the national level, that means that there are about 690 mentally ill people on the streets of Columbus, and 379 of those are seriously mentally ill. The Stewart Home has served over 122 individuals in the last year, and those individuals are people who suffer from mental and or physical disabilities. The home is a licensed personal care home, and it is set up to provide either temporary or permanent housing to 72 people at one time. We not only provide shelter but we also provide personal space, 3 meals a day plus 2 snacks, and all clothing and toiletry needs, medication and medical management. I'm going to share a story with you about one of our residents. His name is Charlie. I have a great opportunity to learn and meet all of the residents who live with us. Charlie is no exception to that rule. He and I were sitting and talking, and he was showing me his scars. He explained how he was shot in the hand during a robbery of one of the convenience stores here in Columbus. I don't know how many years ago this was. The robber shot him, or shot towards him, and his friend shot Charlie in the hand because he had his hands up. But the other bullet hit Charlie's friend in the head, killing him instantly. Charlie then lifted his shirt and showed me a long scar across the top of his abdomen, directly under his rib cage. He said, "This is from getting into a fight and they tried to gut me," he says. He said he was in the hospital several days after that one. Charlie says he's been beaten and robbed at least 23 times since he's lived in the streets. His quote to me is, "It's just horrible, Miss Kara. You just don't ever think you'll be at a point in your life where you are chewing leftover meat and gristle off chicken bones that you find in garbage cans and dumpsters because someone else has already eaten them before when they were fresh." He shares that he even knows which garbage cans to dig through, and it's best to find food in North Columbus because they throw out the most food on that side of town. He ended that conversation with, "I just never dreamed or imagined I would be there. I never thought I would be trash." Charlie grew up with a good family. If I said his last name, you would probably recognize it. He has stories of what it was like to grow up with brothers and sister, both parents, an extended family of grandparents and cousins. He talks of horses, canning with his grandmother, shooting sporting clays with his father and brother, and working on trucks and farm equipment. Charlie doesn't have any real family left anymore because of the choices that he's had in life. Charlie plays the guitar and writes music. He went to school for electrical engineering and can fix just about anything with a motor. He also suffers from a chronic mental illness and now lives full-time at Stewart Community Home. He says the Stewart home saved his life. It is the place where his new family lives. He says, "I'm his sister and I accept him every day." Stewart Home has been an asset to Columbus for the last 42 years. The home operates with funding from HUD, United Way, foundations, individual donors, and some SSI disability monies from some of the residents. But having an income is not required to stay at Stewart Home. The home operates on a budget of just at $1 million per year. Our current residents range from 24 years old to 87 years old. We have a resident who has lived at the home for the last 33 years, while others only stay a few months. I was recently told by Tom Underwood, the head of the Medicaid division for the Georgia Department of Community Health, that the Stewart Home is the largest licensed personal care home in the state of Georgia and the only one that offers alternative living to homeless disabled adults. Mr. Underwood further stated that the Stewart Community Home should be the lighthouse for other cities across the state of Georgia to show how we manage our homeless persons with disabilities. I believe that, unfortunately, the Stewart Home may be one of the greatest kept secrets. I'm here today to hopefully change that. I invite all of you to come tour our home. Come see what we do. We would love for you to be there. Without the support of Columbus, without the support of you guys, and what we do here would be impossible. We thank you for all that you do. We would not be able to be successful without you. I'd like to show a video if possible. I sent it earlier, hoping that it was received.
My name is Antoine. I've been here for close to 8 years now. Everything we do here is mission oriented. By reaching out to the residents and showing them compassion and love and respect, we show them how they can do the same thing for themselves. Once they start believing it and buying into it, you'll see them slowly getting better as far as caring about themselves. We're their parents, we're the uncles, we're the whole family. A lot of them come here with nothing, not just nothing for us monetary, but nothing for us family or love. So I feel once they come through those doors, regardless of what they've done or their past, we're here for them.
Yeah, I consider it my home. I got Antoine as my big brother, and I got Kara as my big sister. It feels like a sanctuary. It gives me the opportunity to change my life. I want to clean myself up, go to church, enjoy a happy way of life. I don't know what anyone else would call it, but I would call it my home.
I'm Melissa Moore. I am the facility nurse and the bedroom supervisor. These are people that are coming from the streets. They have been without any type of emotional family support for a long time. They come in here, they have people here that care about them. Every employee, staff member here works above and beyond to make Stewart home for these people that probably haven't had one in a long time.
Back March the 15th, I was evicted from my apartment. My wife passed away. It's been almost a year and a half now. Really knocked me off my feet, if you know what I mean. I spent one night on the streets of Columbus, Georgia. Just one night too many for me.
It's easy to judge and really hard to know how to help. At the Stewart Community Home, we give you the opportunity to help people, and it gives you a way to feel like you're making a difference. It's not just handing $5 out of the window and wondering what's going to happen to it. You know that there are programs in place here that really help people and make a difference in their lives.
My name is Benjamin Brantley, and I am a cook at the Stewart Home. I was homeless at one time, man, so, I know how it feels to be without, man, find out where you're gonna sleep the next day. And I take a lot of pride in feeding these people, to be able to help somebody. It has impacted my life, man.
My old man died in Hollywood, Florida. I have no family down there, and I have no family here. But no place to go, nobody. I came back to Columbus, and my god sister lived in Alabama, and we rode several places until we found some place for me to be. Because I was willing to take whatever I could, but she said no more sleeping in the streets.
We take a person who maybe has nothing, and they come in off the street and they don't know where to turn, they don't know what comes next. They just know that they're hungry and they're tired of being on the street and they need some help. They're able to get some clothes and a shower and have hot meals in front of them on a regular basis. We just bring some dignity back to these people who didn't have any, and that's so important as people. It's just part of our humanness to want to be respected.
Stewart Community Home provides a place for Columbus's homeless who have mental and physical disabilities. We are able to provide medication management and help those people to be able to live full and productive lives here at the Stewart Home. It keeps them out of police cars, out of the emergency rooms, and off the streets. Over the past year, we have impacted 122 lives in the Chattahoochee Valley. The City of Columbus has a proud history of supporting its nonprofits. We need your continued support so that we can fulfill our mission. Thank you for letting me be here today.
Thank you so much, and thank you for what you do. We've had really precious members of our community be part of the Stewart Home. You all do a wonderful job. Councilor Huff.
Thank you for your patience. As all know, we get a little long sometimes. I want to publicly thank the council for responding to a resolution that I requested. Mrs. Stewart passed recently, and the Stewart Community Home had a very nice memorial service in her honor, and the family members were there, and the sons especially told some good stories about how their mother took in the people off the street when she had an idea, and they had to sleep in sleeping bags to take care of the people who really needed a place to go. Councilor Thomas has been by. She told me about it. We hadn't talked long, but briefly she told me about it, and it's a very kept secret. It's a gem in our community, and not to prolong it, but everyone should take time to go by, take a look at it. They had a very nice fundraiser here in town recently, and I'm sure you're working on some other ideas and things. But please, if you have a list that you're putting together for Christmas to make donations, please add them to your charitable list. And go by. There were, I guess 20-some odd people when I first met you. And I think your numbers now have about 62 or so.
62. Mm-hmm.
62 people that have a place to lay their heads down at night and not worry about people beating them up or taking anything from them. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
And anything else I can do, please let me know.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Chris Whiteman, who would like to talk to us about JMC Flat Rock Partners and a sign variance appeal. There, if you just state your name and your address, please.
Good morning. Is it still morning?
Yeah, barely.
Okay.
1 minute till.
Good morning, Ms. Mayor and Council. My name is Chris Whiteman. I am with JMC Flat Rock Partners, and we are back at City Council to request a variance for signage along the Midland Commons project, which is at the intersection of J.R. Allen Parkway and Manchester Expressway. I know y'all are very familiar with this project, and we are working in a couple of different phases. Phase 1 is going to be our grocery anchored site, which you can see is labeled there on the right-hand side of your page. And then we're going to have a lot of interior development. Our grocery anchor that we are working with, I cannot disclose yet, has got a list of their sign requirements. And they are basically forcing me to come back to council to ask for a larger sign. And as you can see, their requirements limit the number of potential tenants that can actually advertise on that sign. So we are asking for not only one sign, but 2 signs along J.R. Allen Parkway. We are anticipating having somewhere between 75 and 100 different businesses locate within the 88-acre development. And visibility and being recognized is of the utmost importance to these tenants. So we are requesting a variance from the overlay district to allow 2 signs which would front J.R. Allen Parkway, and they would be roughly 30 feet high, which is a bit higher than the allowable 6-foot high monument sign in the overlay district. And we are asking to increase the square footage from 48 square feet up to 300 square feet. Furthermore, in the interior, because the overlay district comes from the center line of the road back in 1,000 feet, we have to get a variance on signage within the actual development itself. And we were wanting to put 2 box signs. We don't know if it's going to be 3-sided or 4-sided signs, but they're going to be, right now, projected to be LED signs about 6 feet tall that the various businesses would be able to advertise on. And they would go inside of the roundabouts. So as you're coming into the development, you would see the signs and get some directional help or some sales help from the LED signs. If you've got any questions, I'll take any questions. If there are any technical issues related to the sign, Robert Teasley with Signs Incorporated is here to answer any of those questions.
All right. Do we have any questions? We have Councilor Allen.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify. I've spoken with Mr. Whiteman and with Mr. Teasley, and I'm okay with this. I just wanted to get you to clarify a little more. The reason for the increasing the size is you'll have multiple tenants advertise on one sign location. Is that right?
Yes, sir. If you'll look on page 2 of the sign requirement. It states in there, and it gives it very specific guidelines in which our grocery anchor, it'll be page 2 of the sign requirements. I think I've got a couple exhibits along with it. And it states in there that we've got to go after the largest allowable sign possible, and that there will only be 4 tenants that can advertise on that sign. Just in the grocery anchor site alone, we'll probably have on the order of 12 to 15 different businesses located within that 15-acre portion of the 88-acre development, of which only 4 are going to be allowed to advertise on that. And when we start going into the lifestyle center and the future expansion development, which is leaning towards more lifestyle type development, there will be another 50 different businesses located within the interior that will have no road visibility, so they'll have not have any access to signage along that roadway from their storefront. So we're asking for some of the larger businesses that are located in there to have the signage that would allow their businesses to be recognized from J.R. Allen Parkway.
And I think this same type signage has been used in various areas across the city already. I think Publix app that I use on Schomburg Road has multiple listings there.
They do, and this is very indicative of what a typical grocery-anchored neighborhood center would have. And the 6-foot high, keep this in mind, the project is probably about 3 to 4 feet below the road grade. So if we go 6 feet high, we're only going to have about 3 foot of visibility from J.R. Allen Parkway. The likelihood of you being able to go through J. Allen Parkway, albeit slim, at 45 miles an hour, hitting every green light, is slim, but it is still a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit, and you just wouldn't have an opportunity to be able to recognize what businesses are located in there. And again, this isn't just going to be a neighborhood shopping center. This is going to be a regional center. So we're going to be drawing folks in from around the surrounding communities, and a lot of them aren't going to just know that a grocery anchor or a sports store or a particular hair salon is in this center just because they've been there multiple times. This is going to be something that, like I said, we're going to be pulling from a pretty large geographic area.
So rather than multiple signs advertising a variety of businesses, you're asking for approval of 2 signs. 2,
and as you'll see, we'll put, and I could put this up on the slide if everybody would like to see that. We're asking for 2, one at the main entrance of Flat Rock Road, which goes back to our roundabout, and the second pylon sign, which is at the last entrance, the last of 4 along J.R. Allen Parkway, to advertise the businesses that would be mostly in the lifestyle center.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Okay, we have Mayor Pro Tem.
You said something about.
Wait, hold on a second. There we go.
You said something about the size going from, I think, 45 square feet to 300 square feet.
Yes, ma'am. The overlay district requirement is 48 square feet on the site in the overlay district, and we're asking to increase that size to 300 square feet.
Okay. And I guess, does the administration have any comments tonight on this?
Well, it's an appeal, so, oh, there's John. Hello, John.
The only concern, like I said, we're just a staff. We're just a liaison on the board. There's no readily issues. We just know that that's the requirements of the overlay district. So the concern is I guess the complaint also was about the sign across the street, the one that said the Midland right there with Tractor Supply. Tractor Supply, that sign was built in April of 2007. The overlay ordinance didn't come in until July of 2007, so it was grandfathered in. So that's why that height is different, the one that's literally across the street. So there wasn't that we ignored the ordinance for that part. It's just it was the time that predated the actual overlay being put in place. We also have the BZA chair here that would like to speak on behalf of the board itself, if you allow.
Good afternoon. Ty Harrison, Chairman of the BZA. As the chairman, I didn't have a vote, but I just wanted, the other board members couldn't be here, so I just wanted to represent them and state that their concern is the city has worked extremely hard throughout the city to have different overlay districts. A lot of man hours, a lot of ideas have gone into these, and then it's presented to us to maintain those districts. And we've tried to be consistent. The board feels that if we just have these overlay districts and then just rubber stamp them every time they come in front of us, that we're not going to have a unified community like the stated goal of the overlay is. So, you know, their concern was, you know, yes, the Tractor Supply deal came up. That was, like you stated, April of '07 to July '07. The new Lakeside District, you know, that has tons of stores in it. And they have, you know, Chick-fil-A's in there and others, and they have small signs. There are other communities, Veterans Parkway District. We've stayed consistent on those. When Walmart came to us and they wanted a 40-foot sign, we said no to that. So we're trying to stay consistent as a board, and then we'll lay it in your hands on everything else.
Okay.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Yes.
As a board, have you all had any discussions on the possibility that we need to re-examine the sign ordinance?
Well, sure, but as the board, that wouldn't be our call. That would be, you know, something that as Columbus as a community we would have to take up, because like I said, this overlay here is what, roughly 10 years old, 11 years old, and that side of town is just now becoming developed. Mm-hmm. So we as the board feel like if we're going to be unified and try to keep it standard across the board, we have to do our due diligence and then let it come to y'all on the signage part anyway, if that's what the city feels like we need to do.
I think the administration, it's time we start looking at some of the ordinances that we have in place that are over 10 years old. And if we're going to continue to get things for a board like this. And I understand you're trying to do what's on the books now.
All we can do is go by what is on the UDO and the overlay. Mm-hmm. And we have to find a hardship. And the board in this didn't find a hardship on what they were trying. You know, it's going to be a huge development with several things. And I think the board's approach was they don't need a 40-foot sign to attract people in there. It was their stated that they thought, like Councilor Allen stated, several smaller signs along the way could do just as much as one huge sign.
I don't remember, when did we have another one? Did we have have we had another repeal of the sign ordinance recently? I don't remember that coming up. What's that, John?
Oh yeah, Stars and Strikes did come up probably 2-3 years ago, something like that maybe?
Yeah, I just don't remember there being that many. Okay. Is that it, Mayor Pritchett?
Yes, and I do know Councilor Woodson was going to ask Mr. Hutchinson about the sign ordinance and some of the things we have in the sign ordinance as it relates to buildings having small signs on the outside.
You speaking specifically, there's an exemption in the sign ordinance that allows, as long as it's attached on 4 sides and it's attached to the building and it's below the roof line, it is allowed to be a sign. So if a company, you know, a nail shop wants to open up, they don't have to get an ordinance, they don't have to get a sign permit, you know, if in a strip mall, if they just, as long as it's attached on all 4 signs, all the sign parts are attached to the building. So that is something that's currently in it. I know Councilor Woodson has had complaints of the actual gas stations and things like that putting their signs inside the building. Once again, that's also exempt from the sign ordinance. Even though technically it's inside the building, you can still see it from driving down the street, you know, milk or cigarettes or whatever. Those are currently also exempt.
It's just, in South Columbus, Southeast Columbus, we're having a gas station built on every single corner. And it's getting so, every corner has this new station, but then they got 10 signs out on the outside of the building. And it's not a pleasant sight.
So that could be a part of the review process as we start to look at the sign ordinance to help revise things like that. Because we have a lot of listings of exempt signs that personally I probably think we should take a look at too. So.
Thank you.
Okay. We have Councilor Thomas.
A couple of things. Mr. Wyman, did I hear you say that the grocery chain has said that without this, they won't be here?
That is, I don't think that they've go as far as said that if they don't get that they're not coming, but this is what they have basically instructed me to go out and try and get.
It seems to me, and I sometimes have problems with this spatial stuff, but to go from 45 square feet to 300 square feet is a big deal. Am I missing something here? I mean, it just seems like it's...
Well, and to put it into perspective, the 48 square feet is a 6x8 sign, and we're talking here about an 88-acre development. And if I were in the retail business and I was advertising one business, if I owned Chris's hamburger joint and was along the line, I'd probably be satisfied with a 48 square foot sign. But here again, we're trying to advertise multiple different businesses that a lot of them are going to be very interior to the project and will have no visibility whatsoever from J.R. Allen Parkway. And we're trying to just get the visibility that we know that they're asking for. It's not something that we want. This is something that basically our customers are asking of us, and so we feel obligated to go out there and try and secure what it is our customers are asking for.
Has there been any discussion with the neighborhood folks about this?
Not as it relates to the sign, but prior to the rezoning, we had a town hall meeting, and the types of businesses and the strategy of the development was discussed at length. I don't recall any specific questions as it related to signage, and I stood there at the town hall meeting and answered about an hour's worth of questions, and I don't recall signage ever being a topic.
Well, I share some of the concerns of the BZA. We have this overlay, and we need to abide by it if at all possible. On the other hand, I can see where you need to do some advertising. I would hope that people are not riding down J.R. Allen Parkway reading signs, that they're more concentrated on their driving. Are we being asked today to do something with this, or is this going to come back to us as a item on the city attorney's agenda or the city manager's agenda?
Question for the city attorney. It's on appeal, so I would think the vote is now unless they
Right,
delay it.
It would be today unless you want to delay it to look at.
Well, part of my concern is that this is the first I've heard of this, and you're asking me to make this decision.
Yeah, no, I can understand.
Speedily, if you will.
We don't really, these are fairly unusual. In my years, we've only had maybe two that I can recall. But in any event, do we want to, can we postpone it, Mr. City Attorney, for until the next business meeting, or
Well, that's
to let council think about it?
That's in the discretion of the council, and we can go look at the area or review the plans some more before the next meeting.
Yeah. So we just need a motion.
I am also concerned that this variance has come to us on the public agenda and not on somebody's agenda.
And now I do remember, the reason why I said there's been one or two is because I remember this happened the last time this came up. For some reason, it's on public agenda. Can you explain that, Mr. City Attorney?
I can't. That should have been on our agenda, and we'll just try to make sure it comes to us first next time.
Well, maybe, I know that, excuse me, my voice is, that Lindsay Glisson is doing our agenda, and maybe when these things come to you to ask to be on the public agenda, instead of doing that, you refer them to the city attorney or somebody to.
If it involves an appeal, just send it to us.
It just doesn't seem to be appropriate on the public agenda.
Right, and it seems like it needs a staff report too.
Yeah, so I think I would request that we bring this back at our next meeting with a staff report and recommendation. And I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but otherwise, I'm not sure that I can support this today.
Just as with the rezoning, we are more than willing to meet with each and every one of you individually and explain what it is that we're trying to achieve and what it is that our customers are seeking.
And I know that more than once you have gone out of your way to make sure that we had information, particularly on this particular development. So, but Mayor, I would request that we bring this back at our next business meeting.
Okay, I'll entertain that as a motion.
Let me ask Mr. Hutchison, can you get us the minutes of the Board of Zoning Appeals on this item? And I know they may have been partly in here, but that's what the council needs. This is a little different. It's not your regular variance request. This is an appeal where you want to look at the minutes and their decision.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a second. All those in favor, please state aye. Aye. Okay. All right, Councilor Davis, did you want to continue discussion? Hold on a second. Bruce, can you hit Councilor Davis's? It's not picking up. There we go.
Let me preface my comments first by saying Mr. Harrison and our staff, I know we had a request earlier that came in that was part of a process of, in that case, a variance, and this is an appeal to a matter that has gone before the BZA, and I'm very appreciative of all that have been involved in this and you know, and doing your jobs. I mean, basically, you're doing your jobs. We've got a UDO, we've got a sign ordinance in place, and, you know, that's like the city manager said, that's what they're supposed to do, is to bring us this information. Now, we also have a process in place that if that doesn't work, then the applicant or the person making a request can come a little bit further. We give them another step in the process, and we did that. We did that with this this overlay district, and it is. I look at it as a part of the process, and I know that was one of the concerns when we put the the overlay district together. It was, you know, is this etched in stone, or do we have an outlet? Can we appeal? Can we present our case to somebody? And we said, yes, you could come to council. And so that's what I see these gentlemen doing, is coming before us. It didn't work because it doesn't apply to our overlay district right now in our sign ordinance, but they have the right to appeal to this body. Now, in looking at and again, I want to say thank you, and I really appreciate the time, the energy, and taking the positions that I would do the same thing, okay? I'd do the same thing. So you're doing your jobs, and I really appreciate that. In respect to the sign ordinance, I think we do need to revisit it and actually look at strengthening it in some areas, because I do think there's some places that people kind of cut corners here and there, and they do things which, you know, here you have a request that is professional, that is, it's a valid request, but then you got in other cases, people are cutting corners and they're not really, in my opinion, playing by the rules. So we do need to go back and relook at some of those things as far as the ordinance goes. But the ordinance does give these gentlemen and anybody else the opportunity, if they're not satisfied, they get one more opportunity, one more chance at this council, and we can look at it. You know, I'm okay with it, and I'll tell you why. There's three things that really stand out here. One, I look at the complexity of this development. It's a very unique, large development that's going to require some, you know, I think it warrants special requests at times, and this is certainly a situation as far as signage goes, the way it's laid out, et cetera. And, you know, I would see this as a very valid request from that standpoint. If it was an individual store, or, you know, I think somebody said Walmart or some other places like that, that's a whole different equation. You're dealing with a massive development here with a lot of different intricate parts, a lot of different components. It's not just a development, it's a planned unit development, lifestyle development. So you've got a lot of stuff happening that's going to require potentially some requests that doesn't align with some of the things that we've laid out in some of these ordinances. So, but we've got a process in place. I also I appreciate Mr. Tinsley. I think he has done an outstanding job in working with the council, actually working on some of these sign ordinances, working on the overlay district and some of those things. And I think, you know, he's taken some very strong stances on this. And in working with him in the past, look, there's usually an obstacle or a hindrance or a need to require some special provisions, then, you know, he's usually spot on that. So I trust his professional expertise in this and knowing what exactly needs to be done here. He's always done a good job on that. So I appreciate that. That's been one thing that stood out in serving this council. So in saying that, and I'm okay with the delay or whatever, I look at this as a very valid request, and you know, I'm willing to stretch it a little bit because of that. Those are my comments, Mayor.
Okay, all right. We have Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to ask City Manager, Mr. Hutchison, one, or maybe Todd, as the chair of the BZA, when the BZA is notified that the applicant is going to appeal, is there a process to provide information to council so that we know ahead of time that this is coming? I mean, I think that's what we're kind of talking about. It's what I heard from a couple of councilors. So let me just say this, if it's not in place, could you look at maybe something like that? Could we look at a process to put something in place?
Well, the way the ordinance reads is you appeal to council, and then it doesn't really tell us where to put it. And like I said, we've only dealt with two of them since I've been in this position. So it really doesn't say, and we kind of volleyed it around to figure out, are we putting it under city attorney's agenda or city manager's agenda, or is it an appeal hearing? We didn't really know where to put it. So ideally, that's why we wanted council to hear it first, and then we can kind of figure out where to go from there. Because if there is, like you all voted to push it back another 2 weeks, then we can create it a hearing, put it under city's attorney's agenda, and go from there.
Okay, I guess what I'm asking is, I think from the mayor and the city attorney's discussion, it all should go under the city attorney's agenda from now on. So anytime there's an appeal coming, we know where to direct it, and then someone in your staff will put a report together and provide it to council so that we get a heads up on something coming.
And yes, Councilor, what we typically do and could have done, should have done this time is maybe put it, what you're requesting now in the information section, to let you know that it will be coming up in a near meeting, and this should have been listed on the city attorney's agenda. And so we will work on that, and
or we could utilize the clerk's office and provide that information to them instead of on the well, when you put it on the information, have her send it out to us. So that
yes, we can do that.
Something
certainly.
like that.
We can put it on the
Just
information.
Trying to get the communication.
Yeah, we can do that.
Coordinated. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, as it relates to what agenda it should go on, I don't think Lindsay should be the having the sole responsibility of deciding that it should go on the city attorney agenda. When the city attorney gets a copy of the public agenda, if there's anything on that public agenda that you feel should be on the city attorney agenda, then it's your responsibility to let the clerk of council know then.
We'll do it. This should have come to us.
So it's not going to be probably put on Lindsay in the clerk's office. Is there no more questions?
No, that item will come back in 2 weeks at the 5:30 meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next individual is Mother Love. Mama Love.
Hello. Blessed new week for all of y'all. My name, I'm going to surprise some people because people have been asking me ever since I arrived December 2016. What is my name? My name is Avis Love Lewis. That's my birth name. But I feel like God made my name Mama Love. Okay? And I want to talk about number one. I was in a class called, just graduated, matter of fact, it was a very good class, CLEA, Columbus Law Enforcement Academy. And we had several topics and several people came from the sheriff, the police, the marshal office. And in one of those, they talked about eviction. I was evicted unfairly, unjustly. Here's my money. It was supposed to be $1,200. I left here. When I came back, nobody wrote me to come pay it. When I came back, God said, go down there and check on it. First time they couldn't find it. I went back a second time. Guess how much it was then? $3,507. I paid $3,512. I requested Kenneth Parker, Duncan, and Davis, who had me evicted, send me a receipt along with my $5 back. I got a copy for everybody sitting up here of this. I also want this put in the record that God gave me this money. It was unfair what was done to me, but God told me to pay it with the money He gave me, okay? Also in that class while eviction, I was allowed to tell what happened to me, how Kenneth Parker, Duncan, and Davis evicted me, how I got bitten up by fleas. I still have the mark on my foot as of today. And do you know what fleas do to you? Hey, y'all like to Google? Google it. Okay? But also in that meeting, after I had told what happened to me, all the bad things in that house on 41st Street, it was told by some of your people that one day that it was real bad evicting people here. That one day they walked towards this house and all of a sudden they heard a gunshot, and when they went inside, the man had blown his brains out because of eviction. His children and his wife saw that. I have talked to other people who have been evicted, and it's not pretty, baby. It's not pretty. Then I went to try to get a record, a copy. I was going to pay for it. I didn't ask for anything free. To get a copy of what happened to me in the courtroom. You don't do that. I wish you would start recording it, and I would pay for it. Matter of fact, some people who can't pay for it, I'll help them pay for it with Mama Love Aid. May I help? Each month, I'm willing to pay for at least 5 people to have that when you start that program. You follow Alabama or other things, Alabama does it. I'm sure they will help you get it started. Okay, now, I want to talk about, I'm going to call my representative. No, I'm going to write you because I know you're very busy, Mr. Garrett. And I'm going to write you, Miss Thomas, about my experience with the community house. Okay? I want you to send a spy in there, somebody they don't know, you know, so you can see what really happened, what happened to me, how they wanted me to pay $1,200 a month. Okay? And God let me show up at a meeting they had at the library. I wasn't invited, but so happened I showed up and I told that. Check out the Bradley house also. But anyway, that's enough about problems. I came here because I was at Gallup Community Center. And several times since I've been there, I've been cursed out. I've been talked about face to face. I reported it to Park and Recreation. I also reported it to the new director. There are bullies in Gallup Community Center. A lot of people say, well, I don't say nothing, I just, but we all have a right to be ourselves. You have rules, they're not being followed in Gallup. I left here last year, I left Gallup last year, came back this year, some of them same bullies were still there. Old folks don't need to be bullied. Then another thing I want to know, how do we get more money from this budget y'all passed each year? You gave more money to other people. How many senior citizens do you have here? I want to know that. What portion of the money are we getting? You know, we gave two. We gave two. I gave 21 years to the military. I have 2 Air Force AFCs. I have 6 Army MOS. God retired me. And now I'm back in Columbus. And I want to see all folks get a portion of what Columbus is giving away. When we go on trips, there's not enough seats. And some people can't go because of that. Okay? I want to find out about that. There's no big you or big me. There's God's people. We're all God's people. He made us. And I'm going to pass out the word. Everybody listen. When you vote for people, whether your city council, your school board district, when they want you to vote for them, put in writing what you want them to do once they get in. Put it in writing. Just don't tell them. I'm going to start writing more. I am going to start writing more. You know, last thing I want to do, I want to let you know the Women's Army Corps reunion and celebration planning meeting will start every third Saturday from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. My number is 404-558-3288. And no, I never lived in Atlanta, but somehow that's my number. I would like for you to please send someone or come yourself and help plan. I would like that. Every third Saturday from 1 to 4. And you can call me and get more information. Right now, it will be at the Frank Chester Community Center, Senior Community Center, from 1 to 4 every third Saturday, November, December, and January. We're looking for men and women, volunteers, and maybe sponsors, you know. And on the go, you'll see the advertisement. And also, a sponsor said they would put some in the courier. So it should be in that one day. Okay? And last but not least, one of my favorite holidays are coming up. And I would like to read this. A Thanksgiving prayer. Gracious Father, on this day of thanks, may we come to you with gratitude for both your many blessings and the reminders of your faithful provisions. Help us to give generously from the abundance you have given us, that we may be vessels of your love and peace. We ask that in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord, who reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, now and forevermore. And lastly, I want to say, don't just count your blessing. Let me repeat that. Don't just count your blessings, share them. We can all give a smile. We can give a hug. We can give a compliment. And today is World's Kindness Day. Thank you all very, very much. I appreciate everything.
Thank you so much, Mama Love. We appreciate you being here. All right, next we have Audrey Holston Palomore, who'd like to talk with us about meeting requests. Good afternoon. If you would just state your name and address, please.
Did you bring the camera to the front?
No, they're stationed where they are. They'll do different.
Well, they were stationed.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start the clock.
Could you put the camera in the front, please? Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Elected and selected officials of the Columbus Consolidated Government and citizens residing in Columbus, Georgia. I am Mrs. Audrey Holston Palomore. I reside at 1035 Lawyers Lane, Columbus, Georgia. I applied to be on today's public agenda for the reason of verbally communicating to Public Safety Director Teresa Pike Tomlinson. I also wrote on the application my intent to verbally communicate with the City Manager of Columbus, Georgia, Isaiah Hughley. At this particular moment, I am going to attempt to communicate with each elected City Council official member of the Columbus Consolidated Government. On the second Tuesday in October 2018, at the Columbus, Georgia City Council meeting, during the public agenda portion of the council meeting, each of you were given a sheet of paper with my name and address written on the sheet of paper. I had made a request for each of you, each council official, to provide written communication about any thoughts you might have about the fact the Public Safety Director, Teresa Pike Tomlinson, has not obliged me the opportunity to personally meet with her and the composer of the case report number 17-013211-001, as shown on my sign that someone said not to bring, but it gives the message. I am alerting you right now, the fact remains, I, a bona fide citizen of Columbus, Georgia, would appreciate written communication sent to my address, 1035 Lawyers Lane, from your official capacity signature written communication. I shall look to receive some recognition of sorts, even if the written communication communicates to me. You actually have no thoughts of the Public Safety Director of Columbus, Georgia, Teresa Pike Tomlinson, disregarding my citizen request to meet with her and the composer of the case report number 170132-11001 in a timely manner. The clock is tick-tocking. Public Safety Director Teresa Pike Tomlinson, for a total of 11 times, I have publicly, consecutively met here at this podium for 11 times, publicly verbalizing to you in the presence of the elected officials my desire, and I noticed that Bruce Hustle's always out of the room, and he's supposed to be representing the district I live in. But anyway, life is life. I have publicly verbalized to you in the presence of the elected officials my desire to meet with you and the composer of case report number 170132-11-001. Please resubmit to me the scheduled date, time, and location of the meeting. On October the 13th, you spoke of an attempt to make an appointment with me. I am unaware of the specific location, date, and time. And if necessary, I'll give you a minute to tell me, when did you schedule a meeting with me? And especially via the U.S. Postal Service, that I ask you to give me information in regards to the meeting with you, Teresa Pike Tomlinson, the composer of the case report number that I have described about 3 times, and myself, to have a meeting in the same location, at the same time, for the same length of time concerning my wanting to meet with the composer especially. Okay? I have requested written communication via U.S. usage of the United States Postal Service. I don't understand what's so hard about doing that. City Manager Isaiah Hughley, I want you to have clarity. So I will repeat my position about the neglect shown to me and my family regarding the lack of bathroom facility availability, as was the case at an important food serving event contracted by the Division of Parks and Recreation of Columbus, Georgia, at a city-operated outside park. The resolution that you spoke about on the second Tuesday of October 2018 is a falsehood, a lie. According to my daughter, of course I spoke with her, who received no compassion, but did receive words of disbelief and an attempt to dissuade her effort to impart truth, has communicated to me. She will talk to you only in front of an official with the title judge and juries. We will talk about the facts that will lead to the truth. Truth is characterized by freedom. I'm waiting for you to meet with me. But when it's time for my daughter to speak with you, she has stated to me that her speaking to you will only be in front of a judge. So when it's time for us to file, and if she doesn't have the money, like she didn't have the money to pay for the event, and I loaned it to her, which she has paid me back with the $50, but There is no resolution that we're accepting. You're gifted, that's between you and her. But I was at the event. I was disrespected. There was no regard for the fact that I had human waste to expel. And so don't think that there is a resolution just because you said it. I want you to understand that. So, at this time, there's still 1 minute and 20 seconds left. I would like for Teresa Pike Tomlinson, our public safety director here in Columbus, Georgia, is down to 1 minute and 6 seconds. It's steadily moving. But take out the time to tell the people of Columbus, Georgia, have you given me any information in writing, which I have been requesting since December 2017, about a meeting with you and the composer of, I have the case report here, so it shouldn't take long for you to tell the public. When did you try to make an appointment with me?
Is that it, Ms. Palomore? Are you done with your comments?
I'm waiting for yours about the meeting that you said that you made an attempt via, I don't know where, because I haven't received anything in my mailbox at 1035 Lawyers Lane about a meeting with you and the composer of case report number 17013211.
Thank you, Ms. Palomar. We appreciate you coming.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to show up again.
All righty.
And I will again if necessary.
Okay.
But the clock is tick-tocking.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to get a question from somebody today.
No, ma'am. It's expired, but we appreciate you coming, so your time is up.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Do it to me one more time.
All right.
Have a good holiday.
Thank you. You too. That concludes our public agenda, and now we'll move into the city manager's agenda. Mr. Hughley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mayor and Council, we brought you the legislative agenda that you approved, and then we had the hometown connection with our legislative delegation and presented to them. And we have since sent them the list of resolutions of our legislative agenda, and we knew that between then and the 2019 legislative session, which starts in January, that other things would come up. Norm Easterbrook was here, but obviously had to leave, of the River Center for Performing Arts, sent something last week that he's concerned and wanted to ask council to support the River Center in this and Columbus by sending an additional item to our delegation as part of the legislative agenda. And so I have included that on my agenda, and what we are requesting is that our delegation introduce legislation to expand certain state sales tax credits for production companies producing music or musical theater productions, to make it more feasible for production companies to take advantage of these credits in Georgia. Current legislation in Georgia provides for certain state sales tax credits for production companies producing music or musical theater productions in Georgia while touring the production. Current legislation defines parameters, including the dollar amount to be spent in the state of Georgia over a certain period and the length of time that a production must tour in order to be awarded the state sales tax credit. Current legislation excludes most music and music theater production companies from taking advantage of the tax credit, thereby severely limiting most production activity to outside the state of Georgia. This is a concern of the River Center and of Norm Easterbrook, and he has asked that we bring this forward to you and get your support in sending it to the delegation. And again, he was here to speak but had to leave, and I know that Councilor Thomas is involved with the River Center, and I'm sure she will want to speak to this, Madam Mayor.
Okay, we've got Councilor Thomas.
You may know that a couple of months ago, River Center had a touring company that was in town. It was from New York. They were in town to do a production in the River Center, and it was there. They were here for almost 2 weeks with over 100 people, and that was hotel nights, as well as everything else that goes with living for 2 weeks somewhere. When they looked at the legislation that provides tax credit, sales tax credit to these sorts of companies, it was a tremendously long time that you had to be in the state. Seems like it was something like several months, like 2 months. And most companies who do the kind of thing that the productions at the River Center aren't going to be here 2 months. They were here 2 weeks. And so what the River Center board has done, and what Mr. Easterbrook was here to present with us, is to ask our legislative delegation to take a look at this and see if there can't be some accommodation, some changes in that legislation, still with requirements, but for not so lengthy a period of time. I know that when this company was in Columbus, as I said, they brought about 100 people with them, but they also employed and used people from the Columbus area as part of that production. And it was one of the groups that I know that they used. There's a company down in St. Elmo's shopping center area that does costumes. They worked with that group from the New York group to help provide costumes for this program. So at any rate, this is something that we think will not only help these companies, but it will give us the opportunity to bring this kind of business to Columbus and to the River Center. Every time we have someone come to the River Center for productions, they brag on us about how great the facility is and what a welcoming community we are. And so we want to make sure that we do whatever we can to keep these folks coming back. If we can get something along this line, Mr. Easterbrook thinks that this may be a yearly event, that we will have a company come for this length of time. They do all of their prep work here and everything, and so it will be, I think, and he believes it will be financially advantageous for the city of Columbus as well as for the state of Georgia. So I would, Mayor, move that we approve item number 1 on the city manager's agenda.
Second. We got a motion and second. Council, any other questions? Okay. You may record your votes electronically. It passes.
Next on my agenda, Madam Mayor, you may know that we have been a certified city of ethics for some time, and we're requesting approval today to submit to recertify Columbus as a certified city of ethics, and if approved, if approved, accept recognition from the Georgia Municipal Association.
So moved.
Got a motion and second for approval. Seeing no discussion, you may record your votes electronically. And it passes.
I've got the FY19 Local Government and Improvement Grant known as LMIG, and we're requesting to submit an application and accept the fiscal year.
Got a motion and second for approval. Seeing no discussion, you may record your votes electronically. And I think somebody we're missing. There we go. Yes, I think one of the buttons is sticking. Okay.
And we have already dealt with Creekside subdivision variance. So next I've got Plan First Memorandum of Agreement, and we're requesting approval that you approve the Memorandum of Agreement between the Georgia Department of Community Affairs and the CCG. We applied to be a Plan First community in 2016. The designation ends in 2018, and we are reapplying or have reapplied, and Columbus has had its designation renewed.
Got a motion and second for approval. There being no discussion, you may record your votes electronically. I believe it passed. Yes, it did. It passed. There you go.
Next, I've got a donation for Recreation Division of Parks and Rec. The value is $4,000.
Got a motion and second for approval. Seeing no discussion, you may record your votes electronically. And it passes.
I've got a master lease agreement for a court management system, and we've come to you and presented to you on a court management system, and we're requesting that you authorize and allow us to move forward with execution of certain lease and or financing documents pertinent to lease between BCI Capital, Inc. and the CCG in relations to the court management system upgrade.
Got a motion and second for approval. Seeing no discussion, you may record your votes electronically. And it passes.
On the purchases, we've got roofing services at Bull Creek Golf Course Clubhouse. Requesting your approval is $147,433.
Got a motion and second for approval. Seeing no discussion, you may record your votes electronically. Okay, we've got a motion. Do we have a second and a second to approve items A through H?
And Madam Mayor, C has already been approved.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. So it's A, B, and then D through H. Okay, wait a minute.
We did A.
B, D,
Okay, so B, D, E, F, G, H. Does anybody have any discussion related to any of these items? Okay, let me just read them quickly for the record. Change order 3 for Public Defender Office of Muskogee County Jail Kitchen Floor Refurbishment Project, radio upgrade for public safety, electronic validating fare boxes, professional consulting services for life safety implementation, judicial space reconstruction, continued timeliness and action plan for development of a new government center and judicial building, Ford Explorer, Georgia statewide contract, and surplus safe. All right, you may record your votes electronically. Okay, and it does pass. Mr. City Manager, normally I would have consulted with you privately, but I've had a request to go into executive session for time reasons. However, we've got some citizens that have been here for quite a while, and since staff will have to be here regardless, I wonder if we can go into Pat Frey next on your presentations, and I believe Rhea Bentley has left. Oh, is she? Okay. All right. Well, and then see where we are. Do we have McGee Park folks here? don't think we're going to make it in any regard, but do you mind if we give it a try?
That's fine.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Frey, thank you so much. Not only have you waited now 5 hours, but you were here last time for 3 hours, which we appreciate.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you again for having me. Just quickly going to go over some really exciting numbers that we've been able to accomplish as a community. You want me to use the clicker? All right. Home for Good is the local continuum of care lead for the Muskogee, Russell County area. And each year we do an annual point in time count. I've heard all kinds of numbers here today, but these are actually the official numbers that were submitted to HUD. And you can see that it started back in 2009 that we started actually recording these numbers and reporting them, and up until our latest point in time count that was done January of this year. So we're down to 279 for this past year. Looking ahead, we are having our next point in time count coming up in less than 2 months. And yes, this is my ever so gentle nudge to invite all of you once again to come out and join us. On January the 22nd and 23rd. The 22nd, we will have our sheltered count where we will be in the shelters of Columbus and Russell County. And on the 23rd, we will be out on the streets starting at 5:30 in the morning. So please put on your coats and your hats and your scarves and come out and join us. Just want to do a little glimpse back over the last maybe 3 years so we could get a really good look at some things. And the really interesting thing is that over the years, 2009 to now, but most poignantly from 2016 to now, we've seen a decrease in every area except for children. And I kept hearing when Frank from Feeding the Valley was here, was talking about hunger and children and how those numbers are rising. We've seen the same thing amongst the numbers of homeless in the community. The numbers for children actually in the past 3 years went up 106%. Now, those numbers went from 17 to 35. But still, that's a huge increase when it comes to children. So we're doing well in other areas, but we are at a shortage in our community for family services for those who are experiencing homelessness in our community. Veterans is what I really want to talk about today. Veterans in our community, we started an initiative a couple years ago, which we called Built for Zero, and it was trying to functionally or effectively end homelessness amongst the veterans and the chronically homeless in our community. Well, over the past several years, we've done a really good job of that with the helps of many of the organizations you heard here today, some who are new to our area, but we have managed to do an almost 90% decrease in homelessness when it comes to our veterans. When we took our first look at a by name list where we had literally the names of every homeless individual who had served our country in Columbus in April of 2016, we had almost 60 people. We are in the single digits in Columbus, Georgia, on our by name list now. So we're very excited. This is what it looked like. Now, the words functional zero has been a phrase that's been around for a couple of years. And in fact, I was in Miami last week, and the Department of Housing and Urban Development says we're saying effectively ending homelessness when it comes to our subpopulations, be it veterans, families, chronically homeless. Now, we can't declare it here yet because they haven't given their seal of approval. And according to those who have submitted for approval from the Department of Housing and Urban Development over the past couple years, it can take 18 to 24 months to get that stamp of approval. We have submitted the data. We will continue to submit the data. We have some more polishing to do, but it continues to take a community to make this effort possible. All of our organizations coming together. There's 30+ organizations that work on this effort every day to make this possible. And it was very exciting to see some of them here today. We all came to do different things, but we literally all come together as a community to make all of that happen. So I just wanted to say thank you. Again, please come out to help us at our point in time count. And I just wanted to reiterate that next Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, Feeding the Valley is spearheading the effort in Columbus, Georgia to feed 1,500 people at no cost to them. And these will hot meals that we will start preparing next week, and they will be delivered to individuals at their home. So please, again, if you want to and come out and help us with that, we'd appreciate that as well.
Well, Pat, thank you. You know, this effort started, Carmen Caveza was involved in it. Mayor Jim Weatherington was involved in it. I had the privilege of being involved with some great partners like you all. And it is amazing what has been accomplished in about 12 years, 10, 12 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, we've had partners at the Chamber and intercity trips we've been to see best practices. But, you know, we hear, it's interesting because they're completely different subjects, but some of the critiquing is the same regarding homelessness as it is about crime, because it continues to exist in some fashion. Some folks don't see the improvement. And of course, that's all you can do is improve. You know, it's hard to eradicate a large social problem like this. So thank you for what you've done.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very appreciative. And I want to make sure I get a copy of that PowerPoint so
Yes, ma'am.
I can answer questions correctly going
Yes,
forward.
ma'am.
Thank you, and thank you for waiting hours and hours. We appreciate you. Twice.
Yes,
So, Madam,
Yes.
okay. If we're done with her, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I would like to go ahead and do the Theo McGee Park. We've got Becky Glisson here with Mary Kane. And if I'd known that they were coming to make a delivery, I would have had them on your agenda. I would have moved them up. And so would you all come forward, please, and tell us why you're here?
Good afternoon. Several months ago, I think y'all know that our Theo McGee brand-new playground burned to the ground due to vandalism. Shortly after that, where is she? Mary Kane and her group approached me. Mary is a local business owner here, owns a gym. She came to me about they wanted to replace that park playground, help us do whatever they could to help. We brought the resolution asking that we get permission for the donations and such, and Mary just kind of wanted to give y'all an update of where we are today with the Theo McGee playground.
My name is Mary Kane. My address is 4209 Milton Road, and this is Amy Goen. She works with Synovus. So we are the bearer of good news. You guys have had lots of other news today. So in 2018, we started a nonprofit 501c3 towards working with Fit Kids projects. So that we run a Fit Kids camp. So that way kids have access to education on nutrition and fitness. And then we also took on Theo McGee Park when we had learned that it had burned down. And so we've been working towards raising $50,000, which is what the deduction is to get the playground equipment back into place. So with that being said, we've got a PowerPoint, but we'll make it short and sweet. The bottom line is we've raised almost $30,000 of it, of the 50. We're continuing to do fundraisers, and we have an outreach with a lot of the corporations here in town. Amy, like I said, is with Synovus. Synovus just gave $12,000 towards the project. So we want to let you all know, and we also met with Bruce and Mimi, and they're in our district with where the park is at, and I want to say thank you to that too for taking your time. But just that we're on a mission to make sure that we get that next $20,000 raised, and as soon as we get it, our goal is before May of 2019, we'll be happy to present it to you guys. So, I don't remember off the top of my head, what is it?
One of the things that we also want to do long-term is form corporate sponsorships with the city parks and recreation so that corporations can adopt parks. And you'll see in the presentation, most cities have moved to this model because funding has been cut so severely in some of these areas. And Macon, Savannah, Atlanta, and even Dalton, Georgia, as small as it is, have corporations that sponsor the parks. So I think with that, one of the things that I talked to Synovus about is they do a community Here Matters campaign, and they very much want to be involved in that. Aflac has indicated that they also would like to be involved in that, especially with Theo McGee being on Martin Luther, right in their neighborhood. So I think it's something that long-term we can build this into a bigger endeavor and make the Parks and Recreation program stronger here. And, you know, by doing that, it also engages the community in those where we don't necessarily have them engaged either. Mary also, from a Fit Kids standpoint, will take the Fit Kids program to the parks and to the boys clubs and girls clubs long-term, so that we're taking that out to them versus them coming to the gym, because we feel like we'll get greater participation if we do that. So we really want your support in moving forward with this, I guess, and taking our money.
Yes. And so, Madam Mayor, I just want to say thank you to Fit Kids and Synovus and all of the others who have contributed to this cause, and we want you to know that we truly, truly appreciate your partnership. And I was talking to a group from Lawrenceville, Georgia yesterday. They were here visiting our city, and one of the things I talked about was the awesome public-private partnership that we have here in Columbus, and this is just an example of what I was talking about with them yesterday. And as you were talking, I was just thinking that, you know, we really need, for those who would allow, we've got anonymous donors and partners who don't even want their names mentioned. And I talked about all the things that we've been able to accomplish yesterday in this community through public-private partnerships, you know, from the tennis center and to the soccer fields to civic center endowment to streetscapes on Broad to whitewater rafting to the Port Columbus Naval Museum, the Columbus Challenge where they raised over $100 million, the National Infantry Museum. The list just, I mean, it's just too long for me to even talk about right now. The Little League teams will step up and say, you know, we'll do a dugout if you will just do this, and they come up with $30,000, $50,000 to do a dugout. I mean, how awesome is that, and how blessed are we in Columbus? And this is the conversation I had with Lawrenceville, Georgia yesterday, and then here you are today, Mary and Amy, you know, just coming forward, you just want to do something. And had we known, you would have been at the top of the agenda. So thank you, and we certainly appreciate your partnership and your concern for making Columbus a better place to live, the quality of life. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for all y'all do too. I know that's a tough job, but we appreciate everything that y'all do every day. So
thank you very
Bruce
much.
has been very accessible to us, and so has Mimi.
Yeah.
So
Councilor
thank you.
Huff?
Thank you all so much for being here. What you see today is what we've seen the whole time. They came in today just to sit for hours, just to give back to the community. And when they met with Mimi and myself, same thing. Nice big cold glass of sweet tea and a good conversation. So I appreciate it. They came to us to talk about the fact that the equipment was lost at Theo McGee Park, and the kids need a place to go, a place to play. And they wanted to step up to the plate and make it possible. And they took a larger vision of looking at the whole community of all the parks to see what they could do. So this is a beginning point, and I appreciate it. Lord knows I do. It's hard to get things done, and as the city manager said, it takes public-private partnerships to get it done. But thank you, thank you, thank you. And please don't hesitate to call me, and I'll check back in, because I think you stretched my brain a little bit that day on how many projects you could possibly help on and assist. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. We've got one more. Councilor Allen.
Excuse me.
I wanted to at least give her an opportunity to plug her gym. Tell us where it is and
Well,
the
thank you.
address, phone number, whatever.
It's at Body Evolution. It's actually right by Shooters, across from Crest Community Chapel, so down in that area by Treadstone Rock Climbing Gym. But that's a great benefit of this, but that's not the ultimate, you know, the bottom line is that we get the park built. So,
Okay.
but thank you.
Well, I wanted to give you an opportunity.
I appreciate it.
That's all we can do,
We have a
really.
very good gym. I go there, so that's how I got.
She got suckered into it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
ladies. Appreciate it. Okay.
So were you trying to
Yeah, we've got,
Well, why don't we can go into executive session, and if you can't stay, just go and we'll deal with yours. We'll handle it.
yeah, because we've got.
Yeah. No. Okay.
The lawyer's got to leave it too, so. So
Yeah, we
got
can
to
handle
move your
what
thing to
she's
something
got.
else, or?
We can handle what she has.
Okay. Chief, I'm so sorry. We're going to try to hustle it up. It's just one of those things. All right. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session. All right. All those in favor, please state aye. All right. If you would, please clear the chambers. All right, hello, everybody. We're back out of executive session. No votes were taken. It was an executive session on personnel and litigation matters. And so we're back on with the city manager's agenda. Mr. City Manager. Okay, hold on. There you go.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and the hour is late, and so what I am going to do is the Government Center update shouldn't take but 2 or 3 minutes, and then we've got a matter of fire EMS that won't take long. It has to do with exceeding the end of fiscal year budget. Cooperative Extension deals with exceeding end of fiscal year budget. So I want to take the Government Center, fire EMS, Cooperative Extension, and then delay Save a Pet program and the SPLOST update for a future meeting. And Madam Mayor, if I may, I just, we had a long public agenda today, 10 or 11 on public agenda, and we are allowing 10 minutes each, and we need to hear from the public. I just don't know the right place for the public agenda on the agenda, or if it should be as part of the proclamation meeting, but there's a lot of city business that we must get done. And so I know that we've revisited where public agenda falls on the agenda and how often one person should come back on public agenda and how long they should get to talk on public agenda. But we know some other communities in the state legislature, for example, you say all you can say in 2 minutes, and all you can't say, you submit it to the clerk in writing. I don't know the answer, but I just wanted to express concern that we often, when we had to do the transportation projects update, I must have delayed it for 5 consecutive meetings before we could work it in. And the people's business is, that's important stuff. And so I'd ask that you allow us to revisit, take another look at public agenda. I'm not saying eliminate it, but do something perhaps different, or consider it at least, that we can get, it's typically the city manager's agenda and the clerk's agenda that we don't get to until late evening. And we've got a lot of purchases on the city manager's agenda, a lot of projects to discuss that involves the quality of life, the infrastructure, all those things of this government, and we're not able to get them done. So I'd ask that we at least...
And we have employees that sit here for hours. But, okay, well, why don't you bring it back next time with a couple of, recommendations. You know what council has previously said they're not interested in doing. We've brought this up several times. So maybe looking at, we could put it at the end, but give people estimates of what time to be here. That we can't tell you for certain, but it looks like we will not have public agenda before 11 o'clock a.m., so you can govern yourselves and your day accordingly. Because one of the most frustrating things is for citizens to come here at 8:50 and sit here until 2 o'clock p.m., before so that might be a possibility, putting it in and giving them some estimate. There's certainly no need of them being here before 10 a.m. We've never seen the end of a meeting at 10 a.m. And also moving some of the announcements perhaps to proclamation session, like festivals and things like that when necessary. But I leave that to you. Maybe come back with 2 or 3 bite-size.
I'd like to hear from members of council via email or something if they've got some ideas.
Yeah, why don't we do that email? Because right now, if we start into this discussion, we're going to exacerbate the poor folks who have been here since.
Yeah.
Shift it to the end.
Put the city manager's agenda and the clerk's agenda before the public agenda. The matter is important to the citizens, and trust me, if we try to get rid of the public agenda, it's going to be hell.
I don't think we should, yeah.
No, I don't think we get rid of it, no.
What I'm saying is that just shift it around, easy fix. But your agenda and the clerk's agenda have the public agenda last.
Right, okay. We'll take a look.
Okay.
With that, Madam Mayor, let me call on Deputy City Manager. Okay, I'm sorry.
Hear you.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Oh, she needs a microphone.
Before we leave this, recognize that we have 3 more meetings this.
I can't because.
Under this administration, and then we will have a new administration. And that new administration, I think, must be consulted about this before we make any kind of a decision.
I agree. And I don't want to bring it back immediately. I'd rather take it over into the first of the year.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and so I just think that we need to take a look at it, though. And so we'll certainly, I agree with you.
Thank you.
With that, Madam Mayor, I'm going to have Deputy City Manager Hodge. This is going to be a lightning speed update on the Government Center. It's just a quick update.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council, and this is just a quick update on where we are with the Government Center and the restoration project. We've executed contracts with both Principal Restoration and Alexander Electric, and also utilizing vendors that we have under annual contract, which is First Mechanical and Adaptisolve, to handle the claims, both the first and the second claim on the restoration project. The move is underway to clear out all the remaining furniture on those affected areas to provide a clear space for the contractors to work. And we anticipate that move to be completed this week as the contractors are getting in and starting the restoration project. We met on November 7th with the Chief Judge, the District Attorney, other elected officials, and their representative, those impacted, to advise them of the status and the process moving forward. So hopefully they're clear on how we're planning to handle this project. We have contracted with Aaron and Clements to assist us with the restoration process as well as the fire safety improvements. Our goal is to have the courtroom floors completed in February. So we're concentrating on those floors first. We are continuing to evaluate the feasibility and effectiveness of what was referred to as the fire stop improvements. We're reviewing those with our consultants, architects, and contractors. This is intended to be a smoke stop improvement, and we're evaluating what can be done to make this improvement. So that will be coming back to council once that evaluation process is completed. The Sheriff's Office is handling the security for the building. Access to the Government Center during this process will remain on 2nd Avenue, so all the public will still continue to enter the Government Center off of 2nd Avenue. The construction easement will be through a secured entrance on the breezeway. So we'll still continue with the public access on 2nd Avenue. There will be 1 to 2 elevators utilized exclusively for the contractors throughout this process. So the public needs to plan to come a bit early because there might be some delays with elevators on those court dates where there's quite a few people trying to get to the courtrooms. We're going to try to shift the 1 to 2 elevators when the contractors are not using one to help with the public access to the building. But they just need to know that it might be some time waiting on an elevator. We've established a complaint and question line through Deputy City Manager Lisa Goodwin's office. That will be Altamise Wilson. And this is for citizens as well as employees to address any issues during the restoration process. So if there's any questions about access or problems with either the public or employees, we've established that contact person for all work orders to be processed through. We will be providing weekly updates to all the elected officials and department heads. We'll be meeting with the contractors every Monday, and I will be sending out a weekly update so they know the process, what's coming forward in the next week, so we keep them advised on the progress moving forward. The Columbus Building Authority did meet on November the 8th and adopted the resolution as requested by council. The next meeting for the authority is scheduled for November the 26th to move forward with the bond issue process. We plan to schedule the closing of the bonds on December the 27th. We will continue to provide updates to council throughout this process, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. That was fast.
Let's have one.
Yes, sir.
Finding the company that's going to come back and give us cost estimates on what it will take to finally either renovate the current building or build a new one. Where do we stand with that, or how long will it take to figure that out?
Part of what council approved was out of the $7 million was a $1 million for the assessment.
Right.
And so once the bond issue's closed and the funding, we'll start the RFP process to determine that.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Judah Thomas.
I was contacted yesterday and told that we had another leak over the weekend. Was that of any consequence or any?
Well, and I'll speak to that. When we met with the judges, the elected officials on last week to kind of outline the process and how all this was going to work, we also told them, Public Works employees, told them that they were going to, with this being a long weekend, go in and change out parts on 187 toilets in the entire building. And they did that, and it was very successful. We learned, at least I did yesterday, that there were 2 leaks, one on the 6th floor and then one on the 5th floor that impacted, minor leaks, I was told. Mark D'Antonio's office, and I think it was, and they put fans and blowers out for precautionary measures and all of that. It did impact a file box or something that was in a closet, but it was not a flood. It was a leak in 2 places after changing out 187 parts on toilets through the weekend. And so that was what occurred in that situation.
And you can understand I get a little nervous when I hear there was a...
I do too.
There was a leak.
I do too.
Thank you.
Yes. With that, we're going to call the finance director to talk about the fire EMS and cooperative extension, and then that will conclude my agenda for today.
All right. It shouldn't take long. Quickly. Yes, sir. So pursuant to Ordinance 13-39, we have the Fire and EMS Department here to request additional funding for FY18. It's about $36,000 that's needed for fire and EMS. In my prior discussions or conversations with the fire department, of course, you know, one of the line items that we sort of paid attention to and watched throughout the fiscal year was their auto parts and supplies line item. They did have to come to council as recently as September 11th, I believe, for work on a particular engine. And so the fire chief can speak more specifically about that, but they're here requesting $36,000 additional FY18 funding.
And that's for the fiscal year that just closed out on June 30th?
Yes, sir.
And so that fiscal year is already concluded or closed out. And so, Chief, you can speak quickly on that.
I thought I'd be done because when Pam got finished, I thought I heard thunder. But, yeah, I talked to Angelica last week, and after reconciling the FY18 budget, the department came in right at $36,000 over. One of the main reasons for that was towards the end of the budget year, we had first responder units, frontline units that broke, and we had to make major repairs to it, and the extent of new engines or new transmissions. We actually had one go down And we didn't make a decision on that till after the FY19 budget came in. So we'll have an expense on this budget at the end of next year. That'll be that $30,000, $40,000 range for that repair. So I'm requesting the additional funds to balance out the fire and EMS budget for FY18.
Thank you. Any questions of the chief and 36,000?
36,000.
There's no questions.
And so basically,
Typically, council,
at the end of the year, when you do the budget adjustment, you're going to do that, right?
yes,
And then monies that were maybe underspent in other departments will be used to balance
yes.
where they came. In other words, some departments came in under, some came in over, and we normally bring you the budget, what do we call it?
The final budget amendment.
Final budget amendment, where we balance the bottom line does not go up, but where departments were under, you can balance each department budget, and we do this every year, if you remember.
Well, typically, council does
Yes.
agree to.
But I just wanted to know how that works, and we're not asking you to exceed the bottom line of the fiscal year budget that ended June 30th.
Correct.
We're just letting you know, and because that ordinance requires that they come forward, we're bringing it to you.
Chief, we appreciate your patience waiting today. I make a motion we approve.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. And we approve the chief's request. Are there any questions? All those in favor of that motion? That won't be on the key and thing.
No, it's not going to be on.
All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposers? Thank you.
All right.
And so cooperative extension left, but the amount was not a lot, but
No, it's a total of $1,500, about $800 in operating expenses, about $700 in personnel.
It's been properly moved and second that we approve cooperative extension.
cooperative extension, yes.
$1,500. Budget adjustment request.
Yes, ma'am.
On the
I
1,500.
see no questions. All those in favor of the
Well,
motion?
she was here, I'm sorry. Yeah.
All those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Any opposers? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Well, and let me just say that cooperative extension went over budget, but I think we need to provide additional information and clarify. I think we may have under budgeted them in personnel.
Yes.
And so part of it is finance doing, and when they did their personnel expense, I think you may have come up short in providing them with the salaries and wages to cover it, and so it wasn't just them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and then that was the personnel piece. We just had, the way we have to budget cooperative extension is a little different from a personnel standpoint because they're partially paid by the city. They're also partially paid by UGA, and so the personnel, a lot of their personnel expenditures aren't direct personnel expenditures per se, is that we get a bill from UGA, and then that's how so it takes some calculation. And unfortunately, just due to new budget staff, the calculations came out about $800 short on the personnel side. On the operating side, in my conversations with the Cooperative Extensions Director, it was more so due to just the timing of some purchasing card transactions. They keep a very good track of the expenditures that they make and the charges against their budget. And unfortunately, there were some charges that happened at the end of June of 2017 that actually rolled over to the next billing cycle. So it actually, instead of those expenditures applying to June, it was applied to July. And so that is where.
And so between the two, it was a total of $1,500.
Right.
$1,500. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
That concludes my agenda.
Clerk of Council's agenda.
Yeah, Yeah, I think you did, yes.
On the $1,500. We voted, didn't we?
Members of council, on the clerk's agenda, items 1, 2, and 3 are bio sketches for Mr. Hinton, Mr. Pritchard, and Mr. Richardson for various boards. Items 4 and 5 are letters from the Hospital Authority and the Medical Center Authority submitting nominees. They're listed below. Number 6 are 2 street closures for upcoming events. Items number 7 and 8 are honorary designations requests.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we send this request to the honor board. Are there any questions? Well, I was reading one of those requests, and I can't remember what it was now.
One request is for a room in the public safety building, and the other one is for a walking trail, from what I understand, that is currently not named.
Oh, the walking trail. I didn't know if that had been through. No, not the Board of Honors. The walking trail was being done by Runzel Buckner and the group. And I assumed that trail already had a name. And so.
The two things, I saw that too, I was a little bit confused.
Mm-hmm.
The walking trail is Runzel Buckner.
Can you turn Councilor's Barnes' mic on, please?
So it's on now.
She was telling him to turn.
Wow, I see, I'm sorry. Yes, I think you are correct. I think the walking trail, that's Ronzel's. But there was the other option of the room in the public safety building. And as I don't have to tell you, Evelyn, Milton Lockett was not only, he was the second African-American after Colin Powell to be inducted into the Ranger Hall of Fame. That was an astounding accomplishment at the particular time. And also, he is the one that helped to organize the drug fighters. So I just think the room there, because the Chief Boren worked hand in hand with him in having their annual, thing that you've been at as well.
Right.
And so I think that would be the one that would be less contentious, would be the room.
Councilor House has been involved in it as well.
And does that take a motion or something? Yeah.
Let me throw in some comments. Got the mic on.
Okay,
Right in this talk. This originated with the Columbus Against Drugs group,
right?
Which I'm a part of, and they felt that Milton Lockett walked that trail a bunch, and you're right about the room inside public safety, and so they asked that the request go in for both. If only one's approved, okay. I mean, you're absolutely correct. He was a very important figure, certainly in the Ranger world and in the Army and in Columbus Against Drugs. Right. And so that's where the request actually started, with Columbus Against Drugs. And Bob Porterchef and I have been working with them since they first brought it up. And so that's why there are 2 letters, and then something gets approved or not, depending on how the Board of Honor works.
I was just thinking.
And I was not aware that the trail already had a name, or I would have told them that was a problem.
But I would just think, because when I saw it, I got a little bit confused, that the easiest thing, the less contentious, would be the room.
The room,
rather than the walking trail, because that is what, that's Ronzel Buckner's purview right there.
Okay.
So does that take a motion or something? What do we do?
Well, I think we send it to the Board of Honor.
Board of Honor, okay.
I think.
Yes, I'll send the applications to the Board of Honor, and I'll also include this part of the minutes, so they are aware of council's wishes.
And so you would put the room in the public safety building?
Yes, sir. I'll send all of that to the Board of Honor.
Okay.
Okay, we've got, hold on a second, we've got several counselors. We have Counselor Thomas.
I want to make sure that I know what we're sending to the Board of Honor. We're sending both requests?
We're sending both requests, but as a referral from Counselor Barnes, I'll send his wishes as far as naming just the room.
Okay, I'm just want to make sure that we follow our normal procedure, which is anytime we get a request for a naming, it goes to the Board of Honor. So I just want to make sure that that's still there.
Yes, ma'am.
So the motion is for both items 7 and 8 to go to the Board of Honor.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Yeah, okay, let's see, we've got Counselor Pugh and then Counselor Huff. Counselor
But we
Pugh?
also sent it to the Board of Honors. My concern on that trail.
Yes,
trail's
ma'am.
name.
I will, and I'll also pull all the documentation from Mr. Buckner's request in the past to include, so they are aware that, you know, that's where you've gone through.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry, Counselor Huff.
Yeah, in this discussion, make sure, if you can, to give Ronzel Buckner a call. He came up with 2 or 3 or 4 names. He talked about the different people that were involved and everything that went on, from the drug fighting to walking to cleaning up the different neighborhoods. So I think he had some idea about some names that he discussed here in open session. I think that's what the whole discussion is about. I think he threw some names out already. I just don't think it's been to the Board of Honor. So I think that will probably work itself out if you get with him, and then you can sort it out and bring it all back. Okay. Thank you.
All right. I think that's it for now on that subject.
Item number 9 is correspondence from Director Bowden. It is lists resignations and a vacancy request for CVB. They can be received.
Okay, we have a motion to receive. All right, a motion and a second be received with regrets. All those in favor, please state aye.
Items 10 or 11 are resolutions excusing the absence of Councilor Garrett and Mayor Pro Tem.
And a motion and second for approval. All those in favor, please state aye. Okay, we've got a motion and second that the minutes of the Board of Elections and Registration, the Board of Tax Assessors, and the Columbus Aquatics Commission, and the Pension Fund Employees Board of Trustees, all those minutes be received. Everyone in favor, please state aye.
Item number 13 for the board appointments. Item A is confirmation requests from the following boards: the Board of Health, Cooperative Extension, Hospital Authority, Land Bank Authority, the Medical Center Hospital Authority, and Uptown Facade Board. I can get a single motion.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Now, you said you needed a single motion.
I can have a single motion to confirm all of them at one time.
I see what you're saying. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please state aye.
Item B is, a nomination made by Councilor Davis for the Youth Advisory Council, and this nominee can be confirmed.
We got a motion and a second for confirmation. All those in favor, please state aye.
Item C are reappointment requests for the Land Bank Authority and the Personnel Review Board. If someone would like to nominate these. Thank you. I'll bring these back at the next meeting. Item D are nominations requests from the Land Bank Authority. Mr. Pritchard is interested in serving.
Okay. We've got a motion and second for approval.
That will come back at the next meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Item E are designated district seats. We need nominees for District 1 on the Recreation Advisory Board, District 3, Community Development Advisory Council, District 5, Recreation Advisory Board, and District 6, Community Development Advisory Council and the Recreation Advisory Board. Item number F, it lists all other available positions on the Airport Commission, Circle, Tree Board, Uptown Facade, and Personnel Review Board. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay. All right, we've got the Mayor Pro Tem. You want to hit your button there? Let's see. Okay. Yeah.
I was really confused on number 1 on the board appointments. The vote we took on A. Confirmation request. That was all of those positions.
Yes, ma'am. I actually changed the format of our agenda so I can list all of them and take one single motion to do all confirmations.
Okay.
So we've separated the ones that are ready for confirmation, the ones that have to come back. Oh, that's great. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we just need to get used to looking at it. Fantastic. All right, Councilor Huff.
On the last section you just went through, are those awaiting, can we make nominations, or we're waiting for nominations to come to us? On the Airport Commission?
The only ones that we are not waiting on other entities are for the Personnel Review Board.
Okay, for Personnel Review Board, for Gladys Williams Tillman, I'd like to nominate Torrance Goodwin, Torrance Goodwin.
Okay. I'll bring this back at the next meeting for confirmation.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? I think that concludes our agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor, please state aye. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Okay. 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 I still didn't get it, but that's good. It didn't come through. Okay. Sounds good.
Good evening. At this time, I'd like to welcome you to the October the 15th, 2018 regular board meeting for the Muskogee County School District. It is 6 o'clock and we will get started. We want to begin today's meeting just with an attitude of gratitude and just to stop for just a moment just to, one, give thanks, but also just to recognize that while we had minimal damage from Hurricane Michael in Columbus, that there were some families that were affected in Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. So I want to take just a moment to have a moment of silence just to recognize those families, okay? Thank you so much. At this time, we will begin with the pledge to the flag. And we have some students from Eagle Ridge Academy, I believe. Okay, I didn't. Okay, here they come. Welcome, welcome. Hi. Eagle Ridge Academy is committed to providing a quality education for all students. And here are some students from Eagle Ridge.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. My name is Cameron Melling, and I attend Eagle Ridge Academy, and I'm in 4th grade. My name is Chapman Ward, and Eagle Ridge Academy, and I am in 4th grade.
My name is Kevin Buckholz, and I attend Eagle Ridge Academy in 5th grade.
My name is Colson McCullough, and I attend Eagle Ridge Academy in 5th grade.
My name is Julia Rivera, and I attend Eagle Ridge Academy in 4th grade.
My name is Donovan Colvin, and I'm in the 4th grade, and I attend to Eagle Ridge Academy.
My name is Reese Tipton, and I attend Eagle Ridge Academy in 4th grade.
My name is Sienna Miller, and I attend Eagle Ridge Academy, and I'm in 4th grade.
Hi, my name is Madeline, and I attend Eagle Ridge Academy, and I'm in 4th grade.
Hi, my name is Jaden Anthony. I attend to Eagle Ridge Academy, and I'm in the 4th grade. Thank you for having us here.
Excellent job. If there are parents and teachers and administrators from Eagle Ridge, if you would, please stand. Let us recognize you as well. Parents, teachers, please stand. Yes. Thank you so very much for coming, and thank you for sharing your children with us. And Representative Williams has a comment, so I'm going to turn it over to her.
Separate from this,